Welcome with me today, Ingmar Hoerr. Ingmar is the co-founder of CureVac, and he discovered the efficacy of messenger RNA back in the 90s. This discovery was basic for the development of today's Covid-19 vaccines. Normally, it takes several years to develop a vaccine, and Ingmar will address today why corona vaccine could be created so fast, and if a vaccine can be created this fast and well with RNA, why not use this approach across the board? Welcome with me today, Ingmar Hoerr, the co-founder of CureVac.
Hello everybody, my name is Ingmar Hoerr. I'm the founder of CureVac, the RNA people. Thanks to the organizers for inviting me to this virtual event, and I hope you can understand me. It's not usual for me to do this virtual. Normally I like to have an audience where I can interact. But anyway, what to do? We have to do it this way. So, I would like to tell a little bit about the RNA technology, about the foundation of CureVac. What do we think we can achieve with this technology and how this was coming into place? So it's quite a long time ago. It's 20 years ago when we founded CureVac here at Tübingen University as a spin-off with literally no money, no expertise, without nothing, just a mind that we want to proceed and fulfill this technology, this beautiful. Well, I discovered this in my PhD thesis, my PhD work, that RNA, the molecule RNA, can be injected into tissue of mice, and this RNA gets expressed. Expressed means the exactly encoded protein is made in this tissue. So you can think about protein therapies that you just inject an RNA coding for a very important protein like insulin, for example, or EPO, or you can think about vaccines. Vaccines also consists on protein, on antigens, together with a danger signal that the body is mounting an immune response. So, and I was going in this direction, the vaccine direction, and I was really interested to see what happens if you inject just RNA into the body. And it worked out. It was amazing to see that RNA is enough to induce an immune response. And what was not known at that time, that RNA is stable enough to fulfill this. RNA was regarded as a very unstable biomolecule. So everybody was working with RNA was a bit scared about this molecule because it was degraded so easily. Nature made it like that. It's just like a letter. If you just have a letter sent out to somebody is just taking the letter and throwing it away because the information is there where it should be. And it's the same for RNA. So once the information is read it, there's no RNA needed anymore and RNA is degraded. That's a natural process. So instead of DNA, the chromosome material, RNA is very unstable. And therefore, a lot of scientists were a bit scared to work with RNA. Nevertheless, I worked with RNA and it seemed more stable than expected. So after injecting naked RNA into mice, the cells take up the RNA and then protein were made, exactly the same protein which was encoded on RNA. So this was the finding in my PhD thesis, that RNA can be used as a therapeutic, for example, can be used for treating a lot of different diseases. Of course, we couldn't do at that time any human clinical trial. So I think this was the real aim, and this was also the reason why we founded CureVac at that time. But we needed to found a company to get enough investments for this clinical trial research, which was not easy at that time. Yeah, it was hard to convince investors. It was also hard to convince commercial VC, venture capital investors, especially in Germany. Nobody was really believing in that. So we had to generate more data. But in the end, the person who we convinced was Dietmar Hopp, the SAP founder. First, Friedrich von Bolen. Friedrich, a very distinguished pioneer in biotechnology, information technology. He created, for example, a company called Lion Bioscience, which was doing a lot in information. And he had contact to Dietmar Hopp, the SAP founder. So first of all, I reached out to Friedrich and was telling Friedrich about the possibilities on RNA. That is a kind of software what we can use for coding different proteins. And Friedrich was jumping on it. He was really amazed about it. And was saying, well, Ingmar, this sounds great. So if this works out, you can do a lot of treatments in different diseases and vaccines. Wow, that's a lot what you can do here. So I will reach out into my network. So Friedrich was reaching out to Dietmar Hopp. And so I had a chance to speak to Dietmar Hopp personally together with Friedrich. It was an interesting talk to Dietmar because, as you know, Dietmar is a software pioneer and nothing to do with biotech so far. So it was interesting to get Dietmar's interest here. And I was doing the same like Friedrich in the beginning. I was saying, well, Dietmar, we are working on a kind of software for humans, a kind of SAP software to talk to human cells and to take human cells as a vaccine or to take human cells for producing medicines, individualized medicines. And he felt very interested about that. So this was the reason why he invested first his private money into CureVac, so that we really had, for the first time, enough money to develop and start clinical trials. So this was the start of the real company, but still it was really a hard way, since we have to fulfill the GMP criteria. GMP means good manufacturing practice, which you need to start clinical trials. So we had to reach out for the right protocols, for the right machines, for the right clean rooms, and so forth. So we invested a lot of money to generate these pharmaceutical production facilities. Once we achieved that, we could start first clinical trials. And this was amazing to see that the first patient ever was immunized by RNA. As I think it was about 2004, something like that. So this was a great achievement of everybody. Nevertheless, of course, it takes more and more time to get the right data. Now jumping to 2020 to last year, here we generated a lot of momentum in terms of corona vaccines. As you know, not only we, also our competition working the same technology, Moderna and BioNTech, were doing the same. And I'm happy to see that BioNTech got the first approval of an RNA-based vaccines against corona. That's great. That's really great. And I think that it needs to have a lot of vaccines available. Also, maybe different conditions. As you know, the vaccines of BioNTech it has to be cooled at -70 degrees, which of course can be achieved in Germany-like countries, but it's very important also to have other opportunities without this freezing temperature, which is possible using our vaccine, for example, which comes a bit later. So actually, it's interesting, really, what happened, and it's really hard to believe if it just thinks back how rough everything was at the very beginning and how rough it was to gain enough interest of investors and money. So that's a very pioneer work. And one of the reasons why we succeeded so well, because we really believed in it. I think that's very important. If you really want to found a company, you really have to believe personally in it. And that's important, because if it's not like that, investors will sniff this. So it's important that you really believe it and that you find ways to proceed. The also important thing is to generate a network. Speak to as many people as possible about your venture, trying really to get interested. Even if you think for the first beginning, well, there's not a common ground here with somebody, but you never know about the networks of people. So it's important to use the network, and it's always on a personal way. It's not like, you just write a business plan and send it around to a lot of VC companies. No, this is not working. You need to really attract these important people personally, in a personal talk. So create your network. That's very, very important. The second thing is get the experts as well in the founding team. When we started, we were PhD students. We didn't know anything about the quality, about building a company and things like that. So it was important that we get access to consultancy services. This was very important, especially pharmaceutical consultation, how to generate these clean rooms and things like that. So this was really important. But also how to work on strategy, how to build a company, and how to bring things ahead. It's also a lot of learning needed here. Take advantage of the expertise around you. So this was also key. And also, I think it's always a teamwork. Never ever think you can do everything yourself best. You need to really focus on things where you are good, and you should really focus on other things which can be done by other people better than by you. That's important as well. Team is so important. And of course, if there's not a real team fit, don't be hesitant also to speak about, and maybe then just then just leave it. I think that's also in our history. We had a lot of people at the beginning which we are not anymore in contact with, which is natural. So the company is growing. Also, people have to grow with this company, and not everybody can do that. That's also clear. But be fair, of course, be fair. But I think be frank as well. Don't wait and just wasting time with maybe somebody who's not dedicated and not experienced enough to go your way. How to attract investors, I told you already a bit. So just I think you have to show your own experience or your own interest, your own mentality that you really want to push things forward. I think that's very important. Otherwise, they don't believe you. You have to do this in a kind of personal interaction and way. The other thing is don't overpromise. Be humble. Be really humble. Of course, try really to advertise as much as possible, but don't over impress. That's also not possible. Also, if you see some fall downs, fallbacks, I think you have to announce this and to say that as well. But have a strategy how you overcome these fall downs. What you do, what's your strategy here? That's also important. Of course, never underestimate the money amount you will need, especially for scientific-driven innovation. That's also something we expected at the beginning. We need about only 5 million euros for the first 3 or 4 years, which was, of course, much too low. Much too low. So I think also you have to be very realistic about the amount of money you need here. That's also clear. Keep your enthusiasm. I think this is really important. Believe in this technology, what you do. If you really believe in it, then you will overcome all obstacles and all the no's you will hear from the venture capital company community. It's really hard to survive here. But take your energy. I think it's really energy driven, as I pointed out. That's very important. Be really energetic and try your way, find your way, and you will really get there. So that's in short the observations and the advice I can give from my perspective. And I wish you everything well, and be really frank to start everything what you want, and even if you have some failures, live with this. It's normal. Failures are normal. Okay, take care. All the best to you all. Thanks a lot. Bye.